have a sip of water. Will, bourbon.
Yeah, he's not cups full of bourbon.
How goes the Noom thing?
Oh yeah, I'm under 230, which is it's been a while since I got into that.
How many pounds down?
I'd say
20?
right now close to 20.
Great. That's a good move.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna get back to my college weight ever, but I'd just like to feel a little
Yeah.
better. When Sonali's not there, but when you get here and you got gray hair and whatnot, and your body
Yeah.
chemistry changes, you can't eat what you used to eat.
So I've got some advice for you. Don't get
Me?
old.
Oh, her? Yes.
Don't get old.
Yeah. Stop it if you can.
Stop it.
If you have a secret potion, let me know.
Clearly, I don't. Welcome to an all-new episode of Work in Progress with John Lane and Will Barfield. This podcast explores leadership traits under stress with a special guest each week. We use a simple and accurate OAD assessment to identify key personality traits or superpowers, as well as the shadow side, kryptonite traits that appear when we're under stress. As always, we'll have some pod banter, shameless plugging, and we'll even let our guests talk for a bit. Of course, no humble brags. Welcome to the show. Welcome, everybody, to a brand new and live episode of Work in Progress with John Lane and Will Barfield.
Mm-hmm.
Big number today, Will. Let's see if you're paying attention.
50.
Yes, you did it. Did you prep?
No, but that was just too easy of a setup.
All right, good. Because if you would have got it and prepped, I might have fallen off my stand-up desk.
Prep.
Zero prep. Yeah, good.
None of that. Not around here.
I don't think our over or under line would have been any more than 4 or 5. So that would make 50 is pretty impressive. So that is good. What else do we have? Oh, so we're starting to book Q1 guests because we're full for this year. Awesome.
Yes.
So that's fun. So anyone who's listening who was on our list, you'll hear from us soon. We have this running joke, Sonali. Hi, Sonali. That when we do our intro, we had a guy on and we said, introduce yourself. And he went back to 8th grade. And he's like 45. But it's very interesting in our prep that when you're introducing yourself to Will, you went back to 8th grade. And it wasn't that long ago.
True, you're not wrong.
That's an 8th grade. That's a running joke we have here. And I'm outvoted, or I'm outnumbered 2 UNCs to none.
That's right.
Yeah. So anyway.
2-0.
We made a good choice. That means you're out. Exactly. Like we're the majority here.
Exactly. You got anything, Will? Did you come prepared with anything to talk about?
What do you think?
No.
All
right. I'm John Lane.
I'm John Lane. I'm Will Barfield, I think.
And we are a work in progress. Nice to see everybody. Let's get into it. We have a special guest.
Yes,
and
we do.
know she's a special guest because it says so. And why would it say so if she wasn't? So say hello to our audience, Sonali.
Hey, y'all. How are y'all doing today? I hear the applause.
Yes. And that wasn't just me.
Okay.
Hold for applause, right.
Exactly.
Right. Well, tell us about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Sonali Ratnasinghe. I am the founder and executive director of a youth-led nonprofit named Youth Ambassadors of Service, previously known as General Services Foundation. And the whole concept of what we do is teaching high schoolers how to get involved in service. So providing them with the funding, resources, mentorship to really give them power. At the end of the day, students feel like they want to make a difference more than just one-time volunteering, but they don't know how. And they don't feel like they can because they don't even have a vote. So what we really do is we're trying to empower young people, provide them with experiential learning, and teach them what they need to be able to do to be successful in a do-good career, such as corporate social responsibility, the nonprofit sector, etc. Otherwise, I'm also on the board of an amazing nonprofit called Activate Good, providing people-powered projects for good in the Triangle. And I am a sophomore at UNC Chapel Hill.
And don't forget to mention what you're studying and the amount of it.
True. I am a double major right now in business administration and public policy with a data science minor.
Awesome. Will, I think you went to UNC as well, and you majored in chewing tobacco and baseball. Is
No,
that correct?
no. Back then, it was I learned how to chip square wheels into round ones, and then we've discovered this thing called fire.
Nice.
It's quite hot.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well done.
So
Sonali,
it was a big
welcome.
time.
Thank you for all you do. I think it's fair to say that between the three of us, our nonprofit work is pretty impressive.
I'd have to say so myself.
You doing most of it, but thank you. All right. So oftentimes I'm asked
Hmm.
where or what do you guys talk about on your podcast? Now my usual response is, why don't you tune in and find out?
That's
But
right.
I'm not always that quick on my feet. So I go into a discussion of leadership traits under stress. And then the question is, where do those leadership traits under stress come from?
Mm.
And Will is going to tell us.
They come from OAD, friends, organization analysis, and design. They come from the assessment, the same one that Sonali took in preparation for this show. It unlocks and defines your unique superpowers. Highly accurate, extremely easy to administer. I'm sure you found it quick and easy, Sonali. Eliminates social desirability distortions because you're not asked questions like greater than, less than, more than, ABCD, true, false. And then it's built to the standards of leading international psychological institutions and rating agencies, including those that are spread across the bottom there, which means you can trust the data.
That's exactly right. And you trust the data, don't you, Sonali?
I trust the data.
Thank you. Okay, so let us dive in a bit deeper. Regular viewers of our show know that we talk about the OAD Leadership Style Matrix. It's a 2x2 4-quadrant overview with 13 typical traits distributed across all of them. I am a socially oriented generalist in the builder quadrant. Our friend Will is a technically oriented generalist in the architect quadrant. He's a developer, I'm a negotiator, and we are both generalists. We have Sonali today, who is a socially oriented specialist. So she is in the facilitator bucket, and she is a social diplomat. We've only had a few green quadrants, and I don't know if we've had many social diplomats.
No,
So
our first social diplomat, I believe.
yeah, so very nice to have you here and to represent the green square. Um, let's go and introduce your superpowers and kryptonite. Will?
Yes, so we're at this slide, Sonali, and my question to you is, how does it feel to have yourself reduced to a two-dimensional data table? As someone who would, considering you're minor, I bet you really enjoy data.
Oh yeah.
Yes, but it's terrifying to see all of me in one screen.
Yeah.
Like, how accurate can you really be? We'll have to see.
Yeah. Well, it is. We are a terrifying twosome. That's how we talk about ourselves. Okay.
Fear-inducing.
Fear-inducing. So, what we really are going to cover today, on any week in the pod, is what we call the relative traits: assertiveness, extroversion, patience, detail orientation. They all come together to form a pattern. That pattern tells you where you sit in your leadership style matrix. We've already covered that she's a facilitator, social diplomat. The dominant trait, meaning the furthest to the right for the social diplomat and for Sonali in particular, is high extroversion. Now, high extroversion in our world means that she is open, amiable, optimistic personality, nice to be around, all of which I can say is true. And like we say in OAD, if we say something that's a compliment, sorry, we didn't mean it. And if we say something you didn't like, sorry, we didn't mean it.
Just reading the data.
Then we look. Then we look at her other traits. These are followed by patience, detail orientation, and then finally by assertiveness. This is one of my favorites. When the P is to the right of the A, it's somebody who is focused on precision, getting things right. So when we put, and then the D is stacked with the P, which means detail orientation, structured, compliant, accurate type of thing. So when I look at you, you are somebody who is a combination of open and amiable, but also precise and compliant. And I've heard you tell me about all the stuff you have to get done in your week with all your work. If you weren't compliant, I don't think you'd be able to get that much work done in a week. So you're probably very good at scheduling.
I'm
Yeah,
a I'm a calendar gal all the way.
ditto. All right, Will,
Oh, it's my turn. Hello again,
we've done
Sonali.
this
So,
49 times before.
but I wasn't paying attention, but I am today. On number 50, I'm gonna start paying attention during these pods.
I swear it'll be different, baby.
50, yeah, 50 is the magic number. So, Sonali, anyone who takes this assessment and shows as a facilitator, as a social diplomat, is going to get these generic trait readouts. So I don't want to spend too much time on this slide, but can you look at those and say if there's one that's really accurate, or that others in your life have said is part of one of your characteristics or personality or traits? One of those you want to single click on.
I'll probably go with strong social skills. And the reason why is because I'm not really nervous to test the waters and see how things go. Like professionally speaking, I'm willing to do a little bit of everything and let people like put it out there for people to see and give some feedback and learn and grow.
Learn and grow. You hear that, Will?
I do, because I'm paying attention.
You are.
Kryptonite. Here we are, right? Dr. Glover, thank you. When we end up in a situation that are stressful, challenging, hard, fear inducing, like being on this pod with me and John, our superpowers can invert. The shadow side appears, they can become kryptonite. How about these generic kryptonite / weaknesses? One of these you want to, point out.
Let's see. I will actually go with the overly patient and easygoing. The reason why is because it's, especially as a growing leader who has not really had any full tangible job experience in the sense of having a boss in the past,
Mm,
etc. I've had to learn and grow like leadership styles on my own and test things out. And because of that, I'm trying to figure out how to strike a balance currently in my leadership roles where I'm providing psychological safety in the communities I'm in, making sure that people feel like they can come to me. I'll be there for them. I'll be present, whatever that might be, while also providing a good amount of accountability, which I'm not always as perfect at
Yes.
as I should be. So figuring out that polarity and how to overcome that so I can best support my team, the people around me, etc.
beautiful.
Well said. Okay, now we are going to dive in here. This is part of your homework, and being a double major with a minor, you know all about homework. Um, you got your test results, your assessments readout. John and you did some back and forth, and then you decided to put electronic pen to paper and make some notes. To walk us through kind of what your commentary is here with these bullets.
Yeah, so one of them I saw on the first part when it comes to superpowers was outgoing. And I felt like that was quite accurate because I'm not nervous to put myself out there and just reach out to new people. I think personally, one thing that really showcased that I don't really have that nervousness, especially because I've done it so many times, was when it comes to things like cold calling, no issue. There were so many cool people that I decided I wanted to get to know, but I just don't know. And so about every week, I'll send 10 LinkedIn DMs to people who are important, who are pretty cool to me, who I'm like, hey, I want to get to know you. This is why you should get to know me. I'd love to just learn about your history and your background. And I guess open myself to new ideas and new perspectives. So connecting with people on an individual basis is super important to me. And without being outgoing, I don't think I could do that.
It'd be harder.
Exactly. Otherwise, self confident in the sense of professionally, I trust my capabilities and my abilities that with what I am learning and growing, I can also provide the resources to those around them, succinctly come up with conversations and perspectives, and distill what I've learned into resourceful information. So I test run different projects to see what people enjoy. How can I provide value to others? For some context, I just did a 2-month trial on a newsletter. And so I have a personal newsletter that I got going,
I get it.
testing that out.
Today was buckets.
Yes, we were talking about buckets.
I like it.
Before we leave this slide, John and Sonali, you talk about the being outgoing, and I think about where I was developmentally as a sophomore in college, and kind of what my foci were, and it was certainly on achievement, but not nearly as outgoing and connection focused back in those days. Is there someone in your life that was a model for this for you? Was there an inspiration or is this just kind of, this is just who I am, Will, and I've just always been this way, and it's been natural and innate?
So I'll say at first, like unintentionally, it was entirely my mom. Like growing up, she modeled consistency and like kind of the whole concept of going ham on your goals. Like you take it and you make it happen. Like you always hear about the concept of volume of work. And when you put in a volume and you just keep doing it, you keep making it happen, nothing happens overnight. Like overnight successes are not real. There's at least like 5 failed projects behind it before you have that overnight success. That might be in business, art, whatever that might be. Similarly, I will say I have gotten a lot more intentional. There's this whole concept where podcasts and audiobooks, because you have them in your ears like all the time, if you have the right people, they are your role models because that's who you model yourself after. There's some productivity YouTubers and those sorts of folks who I always try to model my work after and try to grow from.
So we'll move on, but this is fun, John. When I walked around campus at UNC and I had something to listen to, it was a tape player. Yeah. So, and I made my own mixtapes, and you had to like listen to the radio and then press record at just the right time to hear your song.
I'll just say that Sonali said that podcasters were her role models. So I assume that includes us. So
I think
it has to include you. At least the one who actually produces the podcast, as opposed to the one who shows up.
Who's more desperate? What are we doing today? Who's more desperate, Will or me?
All right, Sonali, back to you. Kryptonite. Talk us through these. You did a beautiful job on the last slide. Help us here.
Yeah. So, in the sense of, I know there was one that spoke a little bit about, in a sense, being cooperative with others.
Yeah.
I think that could have also been seen as a strength, but every strength has the polarity of a weakness to it. And I saw this as not always respecting my own boundaries. I talked about this on a previous newsletter, y'all, but there's this whole concept of if you're not hell yeah about something, it's a no at a certain point in your life.
Yeah.
When you have so many commitments and so many opportunities coming your way. And I realized I started just taking on commitments because people said, hey, do you want to do this? Or can you do this for us? Whether it be a speaking gig for someone who did not support our organization, or the work I do and are just looking for a checkbox. I've been asked to join boards where I have no real perspective and say, though I gratefully did turn those down because I'm not putting that sort of time commitment. But the amount of times that people have come to me and asked me for something, and I've said yes, not because I wanted to provide an opportunity and I tried to makeshift an opportunity, but just because I was trying to be helpful, isn't always the most beneficial to the people around me or to myself. So, not honoring my own boundaries has been a challenge, and gratefully always working toward that, trying to set better boundaries and understand what my values are and what I can genuinely put my time into. Otherwise, I'm overly reliant on people's judgment to an extent. And the reason why I would say this is I sometimes forget that I have my own capabilities. I know what I'm doing. And the reason why this usually happens is because at the end of the day, I'm still 19 years old. How much do I know? Apparently, I know a good amount, but I always feel like I need to get double checked by someone, make sure someone gives me a second, like, approval, when in reality, they're always like, wait, no, you thought this through perfectly. There's no issue behind what you said. why are you coming to me? Like, you made your decision. I was like, true. So really thinking those sorts of things through has been a work in progress.
Nice. The high E will do that, especially when you have a high E and it's your most dominant trait. There's this social connection. I don't want to say social desirability, but and almost a craving to get approval from others. And I think what you're saying is you feel that, but then in a rational sense, you know you don't need it.
There's also this concept where there are two things people bond the most over. I heard this in a podcast once as well. But like, as human beings, there are two things we genuinely bond over and have deep conversations around. It's either goals or vulnerability. So I think also putting myself out there, asking for feedback, it puts myself out there where I can build a genuine relationship with someone that isn't just surface level, which
Nice.
I think is kind of nice.
Yeah.
John, you know what we're going to do now? We're going to move to that beautiful closing slide. Sonali, I don't know how many of these types of tools you have dabbled with, but we appreciate you going through this
Very
exercise
much.
with us for OAD. You had a chance to take the assessment, review the results. You did the pre-show homework with John. Then we went through this prep today and have now gone through the show. You learned a lot, reflected. How do you take what you've gathered from this experience and the OAD assessment and the superpowers and kryptonite analysis and apply it to the multitude of things that you're trying to do right now, between developing your leadership skills with the nonprofit that you're running, with your board responsibilities, and then everything you're trying to accomplish at school as well? How can you apply what you've gathered?
So a lot of it has been gratitude, through the sense of it's proven to me that I'm already on the right direction and I'm on the right path, because all the things I'm doing currently were just plus one by my OAD assessment, basically. And I was like,
Nice.
great. So it's showcasing that I've already kind of been able to figure myself out, but it's nice to get feedback from someone else or an assessment per se to confirm those concepts. But really, what I've been using this for is thinking about, what do I value? What is worth my time? Because at the end of the day, as leaders, you only got so much time in a day. As humans, we only got so much time in the day. So,
Yeah.
how can we be intentional with that time using the leadership lessons? Because at the end of the day, no matter what, you can go overboard with whatever you do. Um, Sometimes I do run out of my social battery, and I'm like, oh no, what do I do now? Lay there for maybe about 2 hours or so. But once I'm back up and running, I reflect and I sit down and I understand that I went too much to one direction to the other. So I think the OAD assessment has really helped me in clarifying what I need to be watchful for. What are those risk signs to showcase that I'm about to burn out? I'm not taking care of myself enough. I'm focusing too much on school and not enough in the community, vice versa. So I think that's been really supportive with time. So really understanding what I value, what I want to put my time into, and executing on that.
Beautiful.
Well said.
Thank you. All right, Sonali, we're wrapping up. Will's going to ask you one more question.
You've been through this experience now, and one of the cool things about our show and how we expand our guest pool kind of virally is we get recommendations from people like you who've been through this experience and can think of someone else in their network or in their social circle that would enjoy this, participate, and benefit from the output. So is there someone you can think of at this point that would be a good suggestion? Who's next, Sonali?
I still haven't come up with somebody.
That's okay.
It's a tough question. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Let's say this. Do this. I nominate, and then I'll punch it in and edit. Who do you nominate, Sonali?
I nominate
Patricia.
somebody.
there
There we
you
go.
go. Done.
Beautiful.
If you come up with it later, we can edit that in. If you don't, we don't have to have this.
I'm going to leave this in anyway. It was fun. Sonali, so you and I started talking about this. I think I had you recording like in the summer, or no, in the spring, and then you just hit a mountain of finals and stuff, and so we pushed it off. I mean, you were just a freshman then. What did you know? But now,
what did I know?
as a sophomore, forget about it. But thank you for coming on. We truly appreciate it.
Yes.
I am not the most civically active person, although I'm trying to, but everyone I go to, there is you. So you're a force of nature. We really appreciate you. I'm John Lane.
I am Will Barfield.
And we are a work in progress.
Thank you. Thank you, Sonali. Great to meet you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Work in Progress is a podcast presentation of Slipshod Productions. Available on LinkedIn and YouTube. Executive produced and starring John Lane and Will Barfield. Talent booking, production, and editing by John Lane. Thanks for watching. See you next week.